Are blockbusters dead? This is a question for today. And also a summary of the headlines talking about The Fall Guy, a new film that's action adventure advertised as a summer hit, packed with stunts and every exciting thing you can possibly imagine. I knew I wanted to see it pretty much from the first trailer. Now, it didn't strike me as very deep or intriguing, but you know what? Sometimes you just want to have fun. And because not every film has to be the most intellectual work of art you have ever experienced, I got myself a ticket and went to see it.
In three, two, one, action.
Ryan Gosling plays a stuntman that we meet during the height of his career. He's in love with Emily Blunt, who plays a camera operator, is doing great until an accident happens. We don't see the immediate aftermath, thanks to the time skip, of course, that is pretty typical for this kind of movie, and we are dropped into the action back 18 months later, where everything really begins. And from here on, we're tangled in some shady proceedings, with a sprinkle of murder, some bad guys following us, some obligatory betrayal, you know, the regular action movie stuff. Now, if I want to be picky, which I am at heart, I could mention that the intrigue is not holding very well, and the pacing seems a little bit off sometimes, and the jokes range from, frankly, like falling a little bit flat to a couple of very inappropriate ones. But these are just a few little issues. Overall, the film is very fun. And first of all, the action is amazing. We have swords and axes and guns and elaborate chases, but what makes the difference here is that because everything revolves around shooting a movie in the movie world, the characters actually fight using the props, whilst acknowledging that they are using the props. This creates a very fun meta situation where technically everything is lower stakes, but it still feels real. I thought that aspect of the action was very clever. The usual suspension of disbelief is brought up and pointed to us, and even though everything in the movie says, hey, nothing here is real, we are still feeling the usual emotion that accompany a film like this. What helps immensely is the actors, and I really love the cast. Everyone fits their characters really well. Gosling is extremely charming and proves once more that he's amazing at comedy. Not that he has anything to prove, because at this point we have all seen enough, I feel.
Sublime!
Emily Blunt is actually a pretty good match for him. I thought that they had amazing chemistry. They both have the ability of looking like they don't take themselves too seriously, which is exactly the energy that The Fall Guy was striving for. Well done here. Besides the two leads, we have a whole arsenal of great supporting characters. Hannah Waddingham, Winston Duke, Aaron Taylor-Johnson are all joys to watch, and I couldn't find any faults here. And as I mentioned previously, the plot is maybe not the most original out there, and maybe the jokes are a little bit cringe sometimes, but you know what? Eventually the good guys win, and the bad guys get blown up or caught or whatever, and you don't really need elaborate, convoluted plots to still enjoy the moment when it comes. Sometimes all you need is Ryan Gosling jumping out of a chopper, and that makes you happy. So, what's the deal? We have a fun time, we enjoy ourselves, we stuff our faces with snacks, and then we leave the cinema, and all we see is news about the movie flopping. How come?
Why are you here?
I think there's been a misunderstanding
Clearly.
because I was under the impression that you did want me here.
That's a delusional thought.
Well, this is a complicated and long conversation that starts anew every few months, but in short, movies are just not doing very well at the moment. And by movies, I mean bigger productions with bigger budgets. And considering that The Fall Guy had cost about 130 millions and made around 60 back, it's easy to see how the box office crew would panic. But does it mean that the movie is bad? Or are we all doomed and all cinemas are gonna be shutting down from now on? Not exactly. People usually point out that one of the reasons for smaller ticket sales is streaming. And I kind of agree with that. Cinema is more often than not a social occasion, especially big blockbusters, movies like The Fall Guy. You grab your friends and make a day out of it, but sometimes, well, life gets in the way. Everyone is busy, you miss the opening weekend, and then you miss the next one, and you realize you could actually catch the movie on a streaming website probably a month from now on. Easy. It's also increasingly hard to actually see the movie in a cinema. If your schedule is strained and you don't live in a big city, you probably won't see the new releases simply because they disappear after a couple of weeks. Another important factor is that very few movies nowadays make you feel like you're actually missing something if you don't see them immediately. It's still achievable, don't get me wrong, just look at Barbenheimer. Whether you liked it or not, it was the event of last year, something that everyone could participate in. The general public, cinephiles, even people who watch one movie a year, it actually made you want to be a part of that thing that everyone was talking about. It doesn't happen very often. And last but not least, a little bit on the flip side. As somebody pointed out, most of the big premieres we got over the last decade or so were either reboots or sequels, which I feel like people are getting sick of them now, but you can't deny that a Star Wars or a Marvel movie are going to bring in more people than a completely original idea, especially around like 2015. It's hard to compare those two types of films and give them an equal fighting chance. Should we be worried then? Yes and no. Money is important to big companies that produce those big budget movies, so if a film flops, it might show that audiences are uninterested in watching that kind of thing. But some movies don't flop, and they never get the flowers they deserve, and we don't get to see more of those. Also, I know that it's cliche to say, but sometimes a film flops and it still becomes a cult classic. So I wouldn't always look just at the sales. I think one thing we as casual viewers can do is to make good choices about what we consume and how we do it. If you're excited about a certain film and have the ability to do so, go and see it in the theater. Talk about it online, maybe organize your friends and make an outing out of it. Films are a great joy to experience together, and call me old-fashioned, but it's just much more exciting to do it in a cinema.
We come to this place for magic.
Coming back to The Fall Guy, in a way it's about how movies are made and what people go through to make them. Does it have its flaws? Absolutely. But it's also a huge appreciation for the people that you usually don't get to see. The effects team, the stunt people, the hundreds and hundreds of crew members required for every little scene and shot. And purely for that, and because it's fun, I would absolutely recommend it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have seen The Fall Guy, please let me know what you thought. And if you haven't, let me know if you're interested. And if you're looking for more movie reviews and reactions, click that subscribe button so you can see everything new that we post from now on. I'll catch you later. See ya!